Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about something that I saw, and it's been around for a long time. It's just we don't really get a chance to talk about it as much as we should, especially in the African American community, because a lot of women or a lot of men doesn't think that it exists, and that is colorism. Um, Colorism is real and it does exist, and it's women across this world that experience that on a daily basis. I myself have experienced it. It doesn't matter if you're light or dark. All skin colors, as far as light or dark, have experienced it. I've had stories more so of my dark skinned women and my dark skinned men who've been discriminated against because of their skin color. And so I wanted to talk about that today because I was minding my business, scrolling on YouTube as I normally do, and I saw that OG had made a statement after one of the fans had commented on the fact that they noticed that she was being picked on because of the color of her skin. And how many times have we seen that before? Whether it was on TV or whether it was in our real life experiences, we've seen someone being picked on or talked down to or being treated differently because of the color of their skin. And it sucks sometimes, especially when it's coming from your own race. And it's like, we already struggle as a race. Why do we have to continue to inflict this kind of trauma onto each other by saying that you're not good enough if you don't meet the brown paper bag test, or if you don't pass the brown paper bag test. I've been called so many names throughout my life, and I'm only 27. I've been called a lot of different things, and for a while it took me time to love me, to love all of me, and I couldn't understand why nobody else could love me or why I wasn't enough for them. So like I said, it took me a long time. I struggled with I don't know if it's identity issues or just accepting the fact that I was a dark-skinned girl. So maybe I guess it is identity issues. I struggled with that for a long time. I used to always say, not that I didn't want to be black, I just didn't want to be dark-skinned. So if I could have been light-skinned, I felt like, I would have gotten more attention from the boys. I would have gotten more things in life, just in general. That's just how I thought things work, because that's just how I saw it. It always seemed to be that the light-skinned girls always got away with more, or they was always looked at as more innocent or more pure, or something along those lines. So I did want to talk about a situation that happened to me. I want to say I was probably like 13, and it was me and my best friend. Now my best friend is light skinned. We've been friends since we was 12. And she is a light-skinned girl, very beautiful girl. And we were hanging out downtown. We're from Atlanta, so we was hanging out downtown Atlanta at the Underground. And while we were down there, these two guys approached us. And of course, naturally, they, migrated to her because she was light-skinned. And I always had low self-esteem, mainly because, like I said, I had people who messed up my self-esteem when I was just a kid. I had been called all these different names, and after you hear all of this stuff for so many years, you kind of start to feel that way about yourself. So I had gotten to the point to where I was starting to feel the way that these people, I was feeling the words that they was speaking onto my life, if that makes sense. And it had gotten to a point to where I didn't know my self-worth. I didn't know how valuable I was as a black woman. So anyway, they approached us, and naturally they migrated to her. It was like I wasn't even there. And I remember that they used to bother me because I used to be like, well, am I invisible? Or do they not like what I have on? Or, I was trying to figure out why was it me that wasn't getting the attention that she would get. And I used to get jealous sometimes because I wanted that attention too. I mean, what girl doesn't want to be, doesn't want that attention? when they're young like that. You know what I mean? It's senseless once you get older and you realize that. But you know, at that young age, you do crave a certain amount of attention. And I wasn't getting that, and it did do something to me. And I remember they was asking us if we was sexually active. Now, mind you, at this time we was young. We was like 13, and of course we both said no. And I'll never forget this. The guy looked at me and looked at my friend, and he was like, I could believe that she's not sexually active, speaking of my friend. But then he looked at me and said, I can't believe that you're not. And at that moment, I didn't understand why he said that. I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess my word doesn't mean anything. But he tried to make it seem like the reason he said it was because I had wide hips. I don't honestly think that had anything to do with it, because there's plenty of girls in this world that have wide hips that's never had sex before. But I just found that so weird. And I'm like, well, how does she come off to be this innocent little girl when, truth be told, my best friend was a wild girl. She was wild just like me. So I'm like, you know, we both was into shit. So why did it always have to be me that was the one who was the initiator of everything when it wasn't always the case? Another incident. So I used to steal back in the day. I don't know why I was doing this when I was growing up. I just used to do the shit. Didn't need it. I was actually working a job, and I still would just go and take shit. It could have just been because of that was what I grew up around. So that's just kind of what I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just try my luck. But I did it, and I learned my lesson. I got into some huge trouble behind that. But anyway, I go to Walmart, me and my best friend, and we decide that we are going to steal some underwear. Now, I can admit she was never down for stealing. That was never her thing. She was never cool with that. It was always me as far as that part. But I also felt like, you know, she was old enough, because by this time we was 15. We was well off in high school. And I'm like, you know, by this time you're old enough to make your own decisions. If you didn't want to do something, you didn't have to do it because I was your friend and I was doing it. So anyway, we decided to go to Walmart, and we steal $200 worth of underwear. We don't need these underwear. And at the time, I had a $50 gift card inside of my pocket. So I could have bought the fucking excuse me. I could have bought the underwear if I wanted to, but it was just something about being able to steal it. I don't know if it was the thrill of it all. So we steal it, and we on our way out the door. We getting ready to go. And right as we get to the front door, of course, they tell us that we need to go to the office. So we go to the office, and immediately they made it seem as if everything was me. Like, they made it seem like my best friend had nothing to do with it. It was no way possible that she was in this store, you know, putting things in her pocket. And I know for certain that she had put something in her pocket. But I wasn't going to sell her down the river. I was just like, you know what? I'll take that blame. It was all me. I was the one who was, you know, stealing everything. But we still both got in trouble. They basically said that we wasn't allowed to come back to that Walmart until we was of age. So I said, okay. So we get home, and I don't even know if she remembers this, but I remember it because it kind of made me feel a type of way. So we get home, and I'm pretty sure it was the summertime, because my best friend damn near lived with me every summer since we met. And, we got home, and her mom had to be called because my mom was furious. So she calls her mom, and she tell her mama what happened, and her mom basically was just like, was it my idea? So I was grounded for months, and my best friend was living her best life. She never got in trouble for it. And I'm just like, that bothered me, because I'm like, damn, how the fuck was I the one? I took the blame, and then I still got in trouble by my mom, and then her mom blamed me for putting her child up to it. And I'm like, I didn't put her up to anything. I didn't put her up to nothing. So, you know, that happened. And that's not, just the only incident, because it just seems like for whatever reason I gravitate towards light skinned girls too. I don't know if I'm doing it because I have self-esteem issues and I want them to be around me so that I can get some type of attention. I don't know why. I run into all of these light-skinned females and they become really, really close friends of mine. But I have another best friend, and she's just as light. She's a mixed girl, and a lot of people would gravitate towards her too. And I would always just be the one that's just like standing idle, looking crazy. Nobody really wanted to talk to me. And once I did become, sexually active, I kind of got hooked up with the wrong guy, wrong crowd, and I was just, I was being used. I had been used a lot because, I thought he liked me. I thought he liked me. I thought he really loved me. I thought all of these things. And I'm like, how could you think that? You're like 16 years old. This guy just wants what he wants and that's it. But you couldn't tell me that. You couldn't tell me that he didn't love me. You couldn't tell me that he didn't like me. So I kept giving myself to him. And then he pops up with a light-skinned girlfriend. And so now I'm sitting there like, I just gave you my virginity and you go and talk to a whole nother girl. So, that was another hit to my self-esteem as well, because it's just like, damn, I just gave away the most precious part of myself and that still wasn't enough to keep you. So like I said, it wasn't until, I wouldn't even say after I graduated, because even after I graduated high school, I still suffered with self-esteem issues, even though I knew that, that I wasn't as ugly as I had portrayed myself to be. I had been telling myself that for so long because I had been hearing it for so long. So I still struggle with that right out of high school. And I went to college and I went to cosmetology school and I was still battling it then, but I also had a fiance. So it wasn't as bad because I'm like, well, somebody loves me, he asked me for my hand in marriage, so I must not be, too bad looking. So, I go through cosmetology school, I finish school, and then the engagement breaks off. And it breaks off because of me. I was very immature. I just could not get my shit together. And it wasn't right to keep dragging him through something like that because he didn't sign up for that. We was both young and he was younger than me, like 6 months younger than me. So here I am, 18 straight out of high school and he's 17 out of high school, and we were engaged and living together, and it was a lot that went on in that relationship. Mainly a lot of me that sabotaged the relationship because I couldn't understand how he could be happy with a dark-skinned girl. Even though he was a dark-skinned guy himself, I just couldn't understand how he could be happy with me. I just always subconsciously thought in the back of my mind that he would leave me for a lighter-skinned girl. So fast forward to now, I'm in a new relationship. I'm engaged again. I'm supposed to be getting married in May of 21. And I struggle in this relationship, even though my current boyfriend does try his hardest to make me feel like I'm beautiful. He does tell me that on a daily basis, but he's also into white girls. And so I struggle a little bit with him talking to white girls or lighter skinned girls because in the back of my mind, I always thought, okay, he's going to leave me for, a lighter girl. So I still have my struggles. It probably, it comes up every now and then, but it's gotten a lot better to where I'm able to be comfortable with the skin that I am in, because I don't want to be uncomfortable for the rest of my life. I mean, it's not like I can go scrape my skin off and make myself lighter. So I just had to learn to love myself regardless of who else decided to love me or not. So colorism is definitely real, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it because they don't want to admit that they have either participated in making somebody feel, bad about themselves because of the color of their skin, or they don't want to admit to the fact that they have experienced it. And I don't know why either one of those should be taboo, because it's real. Like, if you going through that, so many other people are going through it too. And it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. You don't want to be in spaces where you feel unwanted. So let's have a conversation, y'all. I mean, if you've experienced it yourself, go ahead and drop some comments down in the bottom. Let's talk about it, because a lot of people don't talk about it. And like I said, I watch a lot of YouTube videos on my own channel where a lot of people talk about, just crazy shit, but nobody wants to talk about the real shit. So let's talk about it. Like, subscribe, and comment. Talk to you guys later.